Hey, it's the mentality. If I believe it, then I will do it.
Your ringtone and your text messages to that.
It was bad. I was at a garage sale Friday, yeah, Friday, and I was looking stuff up and talking to the lady, and it just started going off. It's like, oh no. It's like that's kind of embarrassing. The garage sales were terrible for me this past Friday. All right. So let me finish putting my schedule up. So I kind of want to talk about goals, how we did, what our goals are for this week, and then you know what, I think your schedule has to kind of line up with your goals, because I didn't hit my goals, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
I set a goal of 50 and only got 31. And I can make excuses. I mean, some things came up, but ultimately I just didn't make it.
Yeah.
But,
and it took me a few weeks of adjusting my schedule to actually get it to where it made sense and actually worked for me.
That's good. Well, I mean, it's not good for you, but it's good to know it's not just me. Let's see what else. Fridays, do accounting. So this morning I went thrifting. I hit like 4 or 5 thrift stores early in the morning. It was pretty good. I loaded up the back of my car with shoes. And that's what I was kind of thinking. Like, originally I was like, well, I could take one day and I could just hit a bazillion thrift stores and source for the week. But I think it might be better to go maybe twice a week. That way I can hit even the same stores a couple times, because obviously they restock just to make sure I have enough inventory. Then most of my time will be spent listing. But it was pretty good. And one of them had a big 50% off sale, and the line was wrapped all the way around the building. But even with that being said, I was probably the 50th person in, got my cart, went straight to where I was going, and just loaded up my cart. It was pretty awesome.
Do they have sale days at your stores?
This one does. It's called Thrift Giant. I don't know if it's just a local chain. There's like 9 of them in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And like today it was 50% off everything. And sometimes their prices can be a little bit high, but they do the color tags where today it's 25 off this color and 50% and 99 cents. So if you go regularly and you hit those color tags, or go on a day like today where it's 50%, and because they do get really good shoes in there. Like I made a killing. And the good thing is, and that's kind of what I want to talk about too. I guess it might just be you and me. The research is so important, because like I've been doing that for so long. As I'm going through shoes, and in a situation like that where there's so many people, like I don't want to stop and look up a pair of shoes to see, oh, well, what are the exact comps? It's just like, okay, I generally know, and I can quickly look at the price and know it's 50% off. And just doing that, I was able to get so many shoes. So I think research is really important.
Yeah. I saw Nicole State, she put out a video recently, and she said that she does her research like in the store as she finds stuff. I kind of completely disagree with that. Like, you're wasting precious time if there's some stuff, yeah, look it up, but like every item, you need to be doing that research at home. Yeah. Like while you're listing, have videos playing to learn your brands. That's what I did for a few years.
Yeah, I agree 100% with you. I mean, maybe when you first start, yeah, you're gonna have to look everything up. And then that's the other thing, like depends on how many niches. Like if you're doing everything, that's gonna take you a long time to get a feel for everything. But like if you're just doing a couple of niches, you can learn those quicker. Because in her case, when she's doing that, I mean, she's not able to get to as, like my whole thing is, like there's so many thrift stores in our area I want to be able to hit as many thrift stores as I can. And like today, I spent 3 hours, but I hit one, two,
Mm-hmm.
three, four. I hit five. I hit
You
five.
froze.
Oh, I froze.
You froze.
Oh, yeah, it's in the garage. I may have to move upstairs where I have a better connection.
How many thrift stores do you have in your town that you go to?
There are so many. I don't even know. There's probably that I go to. Like right now, and that's the other thing. I want to here, I'm gonna carry this laptop upstairs closer to the router. But like the ones I go to, currently I probably have a route of about 7 or 8. Well, actually more than that. There probably
Jeez.
up to 10 or 12, but there are even more than that. I just haven't had a chance to check out a lot of the mom and pop ones. So
That's crazy. We have 2, and one of them I don't even go to because it's the regular Goodwill, and they are crazy overpriced. I mean, I go there if I'm looking for stuff for myself, but not for reselling.
right. Yeah. Well, I mean, you have the bins though, and that's a big advantage. That's the other thing. Last Friday, I also went to the bins, and I usually when I go, I get there right when they open, and I didn't get there till like 1 p.m. or 2 p.m. And man, I saw, and I'm not saying it, there was an African dude, like he had a real thick African accent. Not that it matters, but he had 2 carts filled up with shoes. So obviously he had been through that store. He'd probably been there for hours.
Mm-hmm.
And so I never get discouraged by that. So I went ahead and went, and I couldn't find anything good. So like when you go to the bins, do you go early or is there certain?
I like going near opening just so I don't have to wait in line, but they've actually taken away the rule of how many people can go in, and there's no time limit anymore. But I typically like going in the mornings anyway.
Yeah, well, I think all the other times I've been before, probably 4 or 5 times, it had always been right when they open. I'd always done really well.
How many pounds do you typically come away with when you go?
That's a good question. I usually, it's like $1.49 a pound, and I usually will spend 40, 50 bucks. So maybe 30 to 40 pounds, I guess. Because it's mostly just shoes, almost always just shoes. And I usually leave with about 15, 20 pair. Okay.
Would it be worth your time to go from like opening to closing at the bins? Would you be able to find like a week's worth of stuff to list if you did that?
That's interesting. I've thought about that. It might be worth it, but it might scar me emotionally because those people in there are so weird. I've never been in there more than like 2 hours. Like,
you'll turn into one of the bins people.
the bins people, they're so scary. And because there are so many thrift stores, and the bins is great, obviously. Like I found Tory Burch and Ariat Boots, you name it, like great shoes there. And so it's obviously a great place to go. But there are so many other thrift stores that, it's like a place I'd probably want to spend a couple of hours. And, I don't want to really wait for them to bring those bins out every hour and fight over them like those bins people do. but just get in there.
I think ours rotates like every 20 minutes, but they like spread it out. So like it'll be clothing one time, and then they're going to pop over and do hard goods and stuff. And then they'll pop over to clothing and go back and forth.
Right. How long do you normally spend there when you go?
When me and Chad go, lately we've just been doing the 2 hours because that's the time that they allotted people for COVID. When I first started going by myself, it was like all day. I'd go in the morning and come back close to closing just to make it worth my time. But now I go with Chad because I don't like going by myself.
Yeah, that would make a big difference. Being at the bins all day by yourself, you might really turn into a bins person.
Yeah.
So scary. Those people.
I can't wait for my sister to finish with her other job. So when she starts reselling, I can go to the bins with her.
Yeah, that'd be good. I know Clay and I have been many times together. It's a lot better with someone else, and
Mhm.
like we're strategic about it. You know, I'll start on one end, he'll get the cart, start on the other. I'm like, all right, any decent looking shoe, grab it. And then we come together and sort and make one final loop. And like we can be in and out like an hour and a half, and you know, both have 10, 15 pair of shoes, which is pretty good. All right. Well, I don't know if anybody else is showing. So, like I said, I set a goal of 50 last week. I'll type this in the chat. I got 31 of 50 listed. And it wasn't because, I mean, I feel like a failure, but it wasn't because I wasn't working. Like, well, this week I'm doing a big, and I do like on eBay, I do that you can do sales. It's pretty sweet. And so when I price my items, if I see an item say it's $80 is the highest comp comparable to mine, I will do 120% of that. So I'll list it at 100 because every week I'll do a sale. Like the first week is 20% off everything, then 30, then 40, and then the last week is 50% off. And so I'm on my 50% off week, and like my profit margin is smaller, obviously, but the number of sales are just through the roof. And
So what happens when you hit your minimum percentage you're willing to go? Then do you relist items? Or how does that work?
well, on eBay, yeah, they automatically relist. Like I think after 30 days or 31 days, they just auto relist. So you don't have to really worry about that. Yeah. And so like every day this week, like I've been just packing. And a lot of it's wholesale stuff, and the profit margins are really small. But you know, it's the volume of it. But I was thinking, I'm like, dang, do I need to do this many days of 50% off? Because it's kind of tiring, and so it gives me less time to list because I'm shipping for so much time. I mean, ultimately it's still worth it because the profits, they all add up. And you know, if you ship out 35 items in a day, and the average profit on each is even just $7 or $8, it kind of adds up just on the eBay side plus the other ones. But it does make me think I don't need to have as many days. And here's the other thing, like on eBay, like once you get on it, there's a lot of little tricks to eBay. When you have sales and the higher your sales, it triggers the algorithm, and your store will get more traffic. And every time you sell, it kind of boosts an item. Like if you got a replenishable, it'll kind of boost it up. And so your items are showing higher in the search results. It's just kind of like it's a snowball. It just builds this momentum. And what's funny is like on the 30th, whatever day that is this week, my sales will stop. And usually I take the first with no sales at all. I just kind of look at inventory, like what's old, do I need to drop the price on this, you know, just kind of look at my inventory. And that momentum from that whole week of 50% off sales, it keeps going. And like, so I mean, not as much as the 50% off sale, but way more than you would expect. I will get full price items sell because that algorithm has built this traffic tsunami, and they're still coming to your store. And it'll take several days before it's kind of drop back down. So eBay is really interesting. And I've learned a lot of these tricks from Chris. And you can do promoted listings and different things. Yeah, I got 31 out of 50. And one day I had to take Elvis to the vet. And there was a couple of days, you know, I couldn't do my full reselling for the full day. But that is the beauty of being full time, is that, well, something pops up, I can actually, you know, it may annoy me a little bit, but I can make time. So you got 53 out of 75?
Yeah.
That's a good percentage. Or what about almost about 70% listed? Was that Is that what you normally do, the 75, or were you trying to push your goal a little higher?
No, it's about what I've been doing. What slows me down though, and I don't know why I was doing such a bad job this week, but my measuring items. Do you measure for cost or anything?
Yeah, well, I don't do much clothing anymore, but when I do, yeah.
That's what slows me down. This week, I don't know what the heck my problem was, but like it took me from the AM to the PM just measuring all of this stuff for my last bins haul. And I don't know how to speed up the process. I know some people say taking photos with your measuring tape with the photo, but I feel like that would slow me down, especially since I'm not flat laying. So I'd have to have a separate setup.
Do you kind of batch list, like do all tops at once, all pants,
Oh,
etc.?
no. I just, whatever clothing color I wash, I dry, I hang up, and then that's what gets going. So,
Because that may help you speed up a little bit.
hmm
Um, like when I was doing clothing, that was a tip from Chris too. Is like because you get into a groove, get 10 items at a time. Like just take a few minutes to sort, like 10 pants, because that like when you switch from a sweater to a pair of pants to a dress to a shoe, like all those movements are different. But if you
hmm
do 10 pants in a row, like you're gonna develop a rhythm. Like you're gonna do the waist, you're gonna do the inseam, and whatever else if
hmm
you want to do the hips or whatever. But waist, inseam, like you get into a rhythm. And like for me, it was even like where I had like I had the tape measure in a certain place, and a little
hmm
sticky note to write the measurements down. Just developing these little routines, the habits, right? That where you don't have to think about it. Whereas if you do a pair of pants, then you grab a sweater. Well, now you got to think. It may not seem like much, but you're kind of burning mental energy. Well, now I got to do the bust and the sleeves, and if it's a suit, I've got to do the shoulders and the length.
hmm
Um, versus doing one thing, you just batch them together and you do 5 or 10 of them in a row,
hmm
and you get that little rhythm. So you might want to try that to see if it works.
Yeah, I'll try this with my next batch.
It should help. I know it helped me, like because I was doing suits there before the pandemic. I went on a sell day and I went to like 9 or 10 thrift stores, and I just bought suits, Polo, Ralph Lauren. Um, I even found an Armani suit. Um, just like I researched the suits ahead of time, and I went in there and I filled up the back of my hatchback. I probably bought about well, I don't know, maybe 50 pair of suits, and they sell for really good money, but they are so tedious to list. Like I have a mannequin, I have a male and a female mannequin, so I put him on the male mannequin and take this picture and turn picture, inside picture, all these different pictures. And then I would bring it over and do all the measurement. Like it would probably take me 15, maybe even at the beginning, probably 20 minutes to list a suit. It was terrible. And I probably got it down to 15 minutes. Um, but some of those suits were selling 50, $100, but the sell through rate was really slow.
Mhm.
But I spent a whole day. But I grew to hate suits. I sold quite a few of them, but I listed a lot. But I got burned out on them after doing that for about a week. And my aunt does Poshmark too, so I'm like, here, you want to list? She didn't have any inventory. I'm like, you'll make good money. It'll take them a long time to sell, but you will definitely make good money. And I give them to real cheap at like my cost.
Mhm.
Um, but I guess the point I was making was that it's that rhythm of those suits, of how to do it. Like I probably went from about 20 minutes per suit, down to 15 once I got the rhythm down.
Mhm.
So, all right. So I guess my goal this week is going to be the same thing. I need to hit my 50 goal. Um, and I don't even know how many. I might do an old fashioned thrift haul video of all the shoes I made. Because the other thing is, I want to do like maybe one or two, maybe two YouTube videos a week, just to kind of get back into that habit, kind of like your 50-pound bin haul. um, maybe just do a shoe haul, a thrift shoe haul. I'm assuming people maybe still watch those videos.
I think so. I do. I still watch them.
Yeah. So I'm gonna do that. I'll probably do that tomorrow. So I'm gonna redo my 50 goal of 50, and I want to hit it this week. And so I was thinking about my schedule because I was trying to think, well, why did I not hit it? And so I wrote out a schedule, and we know things can always change. Some things can come up, but this is what I have down. And I'm gonna try to follow this. And like I'm getting up at right now at 5, and so from 5 to 8, I'm doing my shipping for the day. And it usually takes me that whole time, but if I finished early, I could just move ahead to whatever was next. And then from 8 to 9:15, Chris does his daily Patreon call. Like I didn't make it today because I needed to leave here at 8 to be at the thrift store at 9. Well, I left at 8:15 to be there at 9 to be there on time. But most of the times I can make his Patreon call, and it's about an hour. Sometimes it goes past an hour, but kind of like what we're doing is what he does, but there's 15 to 25 people, and he's so freaking smart, and he'll have a prompt for the day. And like Mondays, like he has each day thematically based. Mondays are goal setting day, which is kind of where I've got the idea. And everybody kind of shares and talks, and whatever problems come up, we just kind of problem solve. And like by the end of that call, my motivation is so freaking high, and my little notepad with my notes, the things I learned, like I'm always adding something to it. It's like steroids for me as a reseller. And there's something, it's about the Napoleon Hill thing, right? And there's something about being in a mastermind with people that are motivated with a similar mindset that really cranks my day up. And when I do those calls, I am so much more motivated. And the practical side of me is like, man, I could be listing, I could be shipping, I could be packing, but I'm like, come on, the things you can learn within this hour are going to have so much a bigger impact. And I think you mentioned this too. Maybe it was during the live that, going from being a teacher now full-time reseller, I don't deal with, like I'm by myself most of the time now. And being an introvert, it's okay, but I think I do need some social interaction. So it's good to be able to start my day with that, have the accountability, get the knowledge. So anyway, that ends about 9:15. Go to the post office, and I need to get my fitness going back. Like I haven't been running, and so I'm like, all right. So I can run for about 30 minutes, 9:30 to 10ish, because there's a park. It's a beautiful park, all these trees. It's not as beautiful as Colorado, but for here in the Dallas area, it's pretty nice. Go run there, come back. And this is what we were talking about earlier, the researching solds and or trends. So I think that's what Tuesdays are with Chris. It's researching trends. It's learning about wholesale, things like that. So I do that with shoes. I still do that with shoes most days. And like it paid benefits today because I knew Brooks, I saw Merrill, I saw Keen, I saw Ariat boots. Even like Asics, just checking the treads, checking the things I know should be good, and just getting them without looking up each pair of shoe while someone else comes and get the rest of the shoes. Like within 15 minutes, I went through the whole men's section. Now, normally I would have went to the women's, but man, there were so many women over there, and I usually do way better on the guys' side. So I was like, all right, I'm not going to fight all these women I might get lucky and find a pair of shape ups, because I knew there were so many other stores. But normally I would have went through the women's too. Then 10:45 to 11, give myself 45 minutes to an hour on the days I need it to make a video. That'll probably be twice a week. On the days I don't, I'll probably just move to the next step. Take an hour for lunch, a little mental break. And then 12:30 to 5:30 is a big chunk of time where I can prep merchandise. Like I've got all these shoes. I'm gonna put the athletic shoes in this big laundry bag I have with a zipper. Put on cold water, gentle cycle, wash those. Let them dry out overnight. Clean the bottoms if they need it. Clean them up a little bit. Condition leather shoes if they need it. So prep time. Oh gosh, I'm just fucking vomiting here. Like Also, I went to my brother-in-law who builds pools. He has a friend that his mother passed away. You know, that's sad, but um, he has all her stuff he wants to get rid of it. He was just going to trash it or donate it. And Jason's like, no, no, no. Here, let's talk to my brother-in-law, Brian. He'll come, let him come look at it. And so I went and I gave him $80 and I filled up the back of my hatchback with electronics and, you know, cameras and electronics, things that, I don't know, could be $500 to $1,000. Stuff I don't normally focus on anymore, but like that's an opportunity. And he has like 3 other rooms full of stuff. And I told him, you know, because he didn't really have a whole lot of time that day. I'm like, when you have more time, we can come back over. Maybe I can just buy out the whole room. You know, I kind of explained it takes a lot of stuff is just going to get donated. It's going to take a lot of man hours for me to sort it. But, you know, if I give him a couple $100 for a whole room, then I'm sure I can make some decent money.
Yeah.
I don't know where I was going, but that opportunity came up. But anyway, 12:30 to 5:30, prep merchandise, enlist. Obviously, I gotta get my listing up. Friday mornings, I do my accounting, my books. I'm keeping a spreadsheet with all my numbers now because my wife is like, okay, now since you're doing this full time, I kind of would like to know what you're actually making. Like, oh well, there's a lot of money coming in and going out. Now I'm actually keeping track of it better, which is good because it's making me a little bit more disciplined. Because my biggest problem is I would just buy so much inventory. Like I got all this money coming in, so I'm going to buy it all. But it's making me think if I can't list it in a realistic period of time, maybe I shouldn't buy it at that point. And then I guess the caveat would be probably 1 to 2 times a week. I'll probably go sourcing for 3 or 4 hours, probably twice a week. And so that would probably eat into my listing time on those days. And I don't think I'm gonna do garage sales anymore, but we have online auctions down here, High Bid and Auction Sphere. I don't know if Auction Sphere is local or national, and that's what I was doing all summer. And I had like I sold an IQ test for like $170, and that was from an online auction. I paid 20. So I'm like, that's my little dessert. I'm gonna give myself an hour or two to be very picky because you can go through there and you can see the stuff. They got everything photographed. And it's easy to open up the eBay tab and just research comps. And that'll be like my dessert where I'll do just a couple hours of that, maybe once a week, buy a handful of things with some high ROI that will boost the bottom line. So that's kind of what I'm thinking about my daily, weekly schedule. And I know Clay, if he was here, he would be pushing back because he doesn't like schedules.
I think even because my schedule, it did start out, as you saw on my board, like really specific. And as I've been doing it every day, it's kind of relaxed quite a bit. I've pushed out all like exercise. It needs to be in there, but I don't know where to fit it in right now. It just hasn't been in there. In my mind, I kind of feel like it's not a waste of time, but I think of it as a waste of time. Like I could be, like, how do I research or do something productive while I'm exercising, even though exercise is productive on its own? But I've pushed it out. So now my routine is I get up, I pick up house because I don't like to work in a messy house, and I'm the one that does all the cleaning. Chad doesn't do any of the cleaning. So I get up, I do, like I said the other time we were on the live chat, I do my sharing, offers to likers, and then I was thinking about it, and my day is pretty much in chunks. If I have listing in my phone, photos that need to be listed, I spend half of a day listing and then half of a day photographing, half a day measuring all those items, half a day listing, photographing, and that's just my routine over and over again. So mine's pretty broad. It's not very specific, and I think it would be manageable for Clay, something like my schedule.
Yeah.
It's more like tasks. You have a big task. It's all clumped into one thing. So really I have like 3 main tasks that I just do on repeat: photograph, measure, list, photograph, measure, list. And then on the weekends, I go to the bins if I need to. Sometimes I get enough at garage sales that I don't need to go to the bins, but if I do go to the bins, I can easily pick up my 75 items for the week. Anywhere from like 75 to 100 items, depending on how long I stay for.
No, that's
it's a simple
Yeah,
schedule, I think.
I don't think the schedules have to be complex. Like, I guess I'm just trying to, because Chris asked me that. He's like, so what's your schedule look like exactly? Because that's how he is. And I'm like a little disciple of his because I think the way he does, like he's just on a whole nother level, 50,
Mhm.
60, $70,000 a month on the eBay sales. So that's why I kind of made mine a little bit more specific. But when you kind of think about it, it's just like ship, post office, the little variables about researching and
Mhm.
YouTubing, and then listing, prepping, listing, and then when I need merchandise, to and also coordinate with the sell days too. Like I did download the app from Thrift Giant, and so I'll know in advance when the good sales are. And it doesn't have to be a 50% off sale. I could go like a certain tag is 99 cents, and another one's 50%, and one's 25%. That's a really good sell day too. So I can go on those days. And plus, the funny thing is, like, I went to the first Thrift Giant and I got there early, and I was one of the first people going through the men's shoes, and I pretty much wiped them out of the really good shoes. And I spent like $80, but my whole cart was like almost overflowing with shoes, and it was like two of those big black heavy duty outdoor trash bags full. So no telling how much money's going to be in there. And I went to another Thrift Giant that was a few miles away, and that place was even more packed. And I found two pair of men's shoes, but then their line was like, it would have taken 30, 45 minutes to go through the line. I'm like, it's not worth it for two pair of decent shoes.
Mhm.
So I put them back, and then I was like, okay, I'm going to zigzag. So I went to a Goodwill that's a real honey hole for me. Um, and like there was no one there. I guess everyone was at Thrift Giant. And their shoes are like I think $7.99 each. So you got to really get the good shoes. But they had really good shoes. And Merrell's and Keens and Justin Boots and really good shoes. So like very relaxed. I was able to go through all the shoes in 15, 20 minutes and pull 6, 7 pair. And then I went to another thrift store that was an independent one and pulled another 5 or 6 pairs. So Um, and then it was about 11 o'clock. I'm like, well, I could keep going, but the back of my car is loaded up. So I think I'm good for the day. I'm just going to go eat lunch and come home and list before our call. And that worked pretty well. So, you know, once 1 to 2, depending on how much I found, maybe I'm thinking twice a week, do that for about 3 hours in the morning. And on those days, I won't have much time to list. And then on days, like I try to take the weekends off like you do, but I
Mhm.
did have to work this weekend because I knew I was going thrifting today, and I had so many orders. And so on days that I don't get enough stuff listed, maybe I take half a day if we're not like doing something to list a little bit more and just make sure I always keep Sundays off at least.
Mhm.
But yeah, going back to Clay, that like with him, it's all a mindset thing. And like when he works, I mean, he can work a whole day and just like the other day he did like 60 drafts, which is insane. Um, but he's got a real hang up about schedules and hitting
Mhm.
goals and things. I don't know, but maybe like you said, if he just approached it from a bigger, you
Mhm.
know,
It's less overwhelming, I think. When I do go by that schedule on my board though, like I get a lot done and then I actually like remember to eat lunch and stuff like that because it's on my board. Because if I don't, I'll just keep working until like I'm starving and then I remember, oh crap, I missed breakfast and lunch today.
um, yeah, like I didn't like I'm trying not to eat breakfast. I'm trying to intermittent fasting, so I don't eat till lunch. Like by the time lunch was here, I was so hungry. But I was like, okay. And that's the other thing because I knew I had such a good day of thrifting. I don't know if you ever watch Bonafide Hustler. Like he has this deal. He I think like his goal is like $350 a profit at a garage sale day. He'll treat himself to tacos. And so I kind of have a similar thing. If I don't really necessarily have a dollar amount, but somewhere in there, if I have a really good day of sourcing, if I'm out, I'll treat myself. Like I had Chinese food. I had Chinese food today. So just a little reward. I need to take a picture. So I need to put this on a chart like yours. Because I just wrote this out while we were talking. So I'm going to take a picture.
I think my goal that I'm setting for this week,
Mm-hmm.
I finally need to make a step towards fixing my inventory so that I can safely contain more than 500 items. I have, like I said last time, I have 565 out there right now, and only 500 of them are stored correctly. The rest is just a mess. So, like, I've had stuff selling from that really crappy pile that's a mess, and it takes me like 5 minutes to find an item, whereas everything that's in inventory, it takes me literally half a second to go pop open the lid, and I know exactly where it's at in my bin. And it's frustrating me. Like, I'm excited when I make a sale, but I'm like, oh crap, it's in that pile of crap right there. So
Yeah.
I think I just need to bite the bullet. I think the biggest part was the cost upgrade. Like, I was a little hesitant to go do it. I was going to upgrade to the IKEA bags, like I was saying. And if you buy them in store, they're, I want to say $4.99 a bag. But I've looked into it several times. Mine here in Denver doesn't ship, and they're not offering the store pickup currently because of COVID. So I either have to go wait in line, which I went once and I was going to go get in line. And they have this huge underground parking area. The line was all the way around the garage. Like, it would have taken like 3 hours just to get inside the store. And I don't think that's something I want to do because, like you just posted, $60 an hour. No, I don't think so. So I think I'm just going to bite the bullet, pay up, buy them off of eBay. I think the cheapest ones I found, if I buy them in bulk, is like $7.90 a bag, which I hate to do that, spend more money than I need to. But man, to go wait in line for that long, and if they don't even have that many in stock, like, it would be pointless.
So, okay. Well, first of all, I think it's healthy to be not wanting to spend so easily. That's part of my problem. Like, oh, well, I need something, I'll buy it in bulk, and because it is an expense, a tax write-off at the end of the year, which is good. But at the same time, you don't want to just. I think you want to be a little tighter on your money, which I'm trying to get there. But like Chris was talking about this, like as good resellers, like you're looking at $60 an hour or more is kind of what your time is worth once you get good as a reseller. That's $1 a minute. And I have the same problems with inventory. Like, I had a pair of shoes this morning. I forgot to write the SKU number, and they sold on Poshmark. They're a pair of Allen Edmonds, and it took me 10, 15 minutes to find them. I had to go, and I've got 78 bins. And so I think I got through about half of them before I found it. And these sold for pretty good money, so I was freaking out. So that was about $15. I mean, you have to think of your time as money. And so at $1 a minute, that's $15 that I just kind of messed up because I didn't have my inventory. I mean, my inventory system is 98% of the time fine, but we're human. We'll make a mistake, and that one really hurt. So I think we do need to kind of look at our time. It is valuable, and like what you were talking about, the exercise. And I've had the same exact thoughts the past couple of weeks, and I guess the anxiety of making the switch from teaching to reselling. I mean, it's stressful because I'm giving up a sure thing, and I got a wife and kids and a house. Oh my gosh, I know my sales are good, but at the same time, it's not a sure thing. So I wasn't sleeping well, and I was working so hard. I'm like, okay, I got to really see what I can do. And after 2 weeks, I felt a little calmer because my numbers are supporting the decision. But I'm like, okay, we also have to look at the exercises of a long-term investment. It's kind of like the Patreon call. Yeah, it's hard to give up that 30 minutes to an hour, however long you're running or whatever. But what are you gaining from it? Your health is improving, mental clarity. And honestly, when I'm running, sometimes I have some of my best ideas that will come to me, reselling or otherwise, like will come to me when I'm exercising. So I'm like, okay, no more excuses. I'm just going to start small, even if it's just 30 minutes a day, 4 times a week. I've got to carve that time out for me. And I'm just like you. I'm like, well, I could listen. 3 other items during 30 minutes, you know. But, and Chris talks about this a lot, like how so many resellers are so unhealthy and they're not thinking about the long-term cost of poor health, and just the impact, and how much more energy you have and mental acuity from working out. So I think we gotta just schedule that in, you know, and just that's why I'm writing mine in, to treat it just like it has the same importance, if not more, than everything else. And it's, in a way, it's kind of, and maybe this is just me, but like, what good is it to be a full-time reseller if you can't have some type of little perks? The fact that I could go run, you know, at 10 o'clock in the morning where I'd be stuck in a faculty meeting, that's pretty amazing. So I think we need to get the exercise going again. But everything else, yeah, like I totally think that's right on that. And like how you passed that up, because how long were you going to spend to get those bags that were on sale? Like I'm approaching everything from that perspective. I've even changed my wholesale, the way I do wholesale. Like when I order things, I used to have, I've got over 1,000. It's ridiculous. Like I've built it up over the years, but I'd have so many to call SKUs, all these different items and replenishables, like most of it's jewelry, and I would have 4 or 5 of them, but I would have 1,000 different items. And what was happening, the things were selling out, and then I would have to go and find it and figure out which one was the cheapest and order it. So I was spending 15, 20 minutes to reorder, let's just say a necklace. And so I was thinking, well, that's $20 I just wasted, not wasted, but I was spending my time ordering that necklace. Whereas if I order them less frequently, but when I order them, I order bigger quantities. So now I won't order anything less than quantity of 20. And sometimes it'll be even higher, quantity 100. And that means I'm buying less new inventory. I'm kind of restocking old inventory. And I give myself once a week to buy something new. But the whole factor, that my thought process was, my original thought was, okay, I'm selling all these other items. I'm selling more different items, but I wasn't accounting for the time it was taking to order. Every day I was having to reorder multiple items. It was just bogging me down. And so I think in general, we kind of need to look at everything from that lens, that time is money. And if we save a couple of bucks, like you said, go into the store, but you spend an hour or 2 hours in there to save $5, well, you know, your time is worth, Chris says $60 an hour for a serious reseller, and I believe it. So you're giving up $120, which you could be listing, sourcing, to save maybe $10.
Yeah. And it would be, Denver's 3.5 hours away one way. So that would be an entire day just to go get bags when I could just order them on eBay in 2 minutes. So that made up my decision.
Yeah, no, I think that was a smart decision. Let me see, I got a message. See if this plays. He said I had to mail stuff and call Dad and wait until call him. I find this over. I'm gonna tell him we're on.
Yeah, I messaged Nikki too. She said she was eating right now.
Yeah, I don't think they like her mastermind. Well, that's okay. Like, and that's kind of the view I'm taking with YouTube, even like small channel. I'm just long-term approach, slowly build it over time. Like, don't expect to get rich, but just it's a little creative process, and just to slowly grow it. And the mastermind is just to help whoever wants to join it. Like, I know it works, and and that's the funny thing is, everybody's like, oh, like Kevin and Scott were like, yeah, we got a lot from that. That was really good. We should do this in Alton. We should do this all the time, and blah blah blah. And and they're not here. But part of it's my fault too, because I'm kind of flaky, like changing dates and whatnot. So I'll own part of it. Oh, and that brings up another thing I was thinking. He said he might join us in a minute. Okay, we're kind of probably wrapping up, but okay.
How much time do we have left? Are we still on the
No,
free?
I upgraded because I didn't want to be like held to 40 minutes and then it just ends. That kind of sucks. So no, there's no time limit. And I guess we can do Atomic Habits if you're still down. Like that one, that's probably the worst of my videos are those book reviews. Not saying that content wise they're the worst, but just like numbers wise. And I'm okay with that because I don't numbers are at the end all be all. So I guess once we end this, if you have time, if you want, we can do the Atomic Habits. But if not, I don't know. Like I'm wondering if people still want it, or I should spend the time on it. I guess is my question. And I guess the last kind of thought I was kicking around, like while I'm listening, kind of like you with YouTube videos. Like I watch a little bit of the news in the morning, a little bit of Sports Center, and then it's YouTube videos while I'm listening. And now I'm back to resell. I'm like, all right, I'm a full-time reseller. I need to go next level. And Pure Hustle Podcast is one of my channels that I'm watching, and I'm kind of catching up. So I hadn't watched since the spring. And one of the guys, Mike in Orlando, and they're in California, and they both went on sourcing road trips during the summer in July, like mid to late July, kind of like when I went to Colorado. But and Mike actually had a trailer. He bought a trailer, and it was a vacation, but they were strategically stopping at thrift stores and some garage sales on their trip. And they made some videos, and I've heard this from, who was it, Buffalo Pickers. Like I've talked to a couple other resellers that have told me the same thing, that you can actually write off those expenses because you can classify it as a business expense because you're going out of state to actually source. So that's a legitimate business expense. So you can write off your lodging, you can write off your food. You just got to make sure you're sourcing at least once a day. And like the way they explained it, like they made enough money sourcing on their trips that paid for the trip, and they made enough money sourcing that it paid for the trip, the vacation, and then some. So I was thinking, like that sounds fun. And I was thinking about Colorado, like when our family went up to Colorado at the end of July, early August, we didn't really do any sourcing. We just, went hiking and went to Denver and did some things. But I'm like, I'm full time now. So like if I wanted to take like 4 or 5 days, and like I'm in Dallas, I could drive to Amarillo, like stop at Fort Worth, hit a thrift store, write off all those miles, drive to Amarillo, hit a thrift store or two, write off those miles, and end up in Colorado. And like, because I'm sourcing every day, I could write off the lodging, I could write off my food, and I just need to, like, each day, maybe it's the first thing I go to a Goodwill or a couple of Goodwills and see if I can get those Mountain Brands, some of those boots or whatever that you'll have up there, the North Face, whatever, and do that for a couple of hours each day. And then I got the rest of the day, go hiking or do whatever. And Clay and I had talked about that. I don't know, his cat's sick, but I'm at the point where I'm ready to do that, even if it's by myself. Like it would just be fun, like an adventure, because I love your state. It's so amazing. Like that, my dream is to have like a second house at some point, a vacation house up there. Just, I don't care, just a small one, just to be in the Rockies, because it's, oh my God, I don't want to sound corny, but like it gets me here. Like I just love it. It just feels so much better. So, and I told my wife, I'm like, yeah, I may do this. If Clay wants to go or somebody else wants to go, that's cool, but it may just be me for 4 or 5 days. And she's like, okay. I was like, well, because now my reselling income is replacing my teaching income. I'm like, well, I will have like a full month's, like I'm trying to be responsible. Like I'd want to build up a full month's salary in advance before I go, because even if I'm gone for just 4 or 5 days, those are days I can't ship out. You can change the handling time on eBay, And if like you built your schedule around a weekend where maybe it was Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, or Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, like they don't count the weekends. And for Poshmark and Mercari and other sites, they usually give you at least 3 days. And I know Poshmark gives you up to a week to ship. So I could still have sales coming in. And just when I get back, it would be very hectic shipping. Like I probably just have a day or two, just 8-10 hours of shipping. But I don't know. I'm stoked about that.
You should add Arizona.
Arizona.
Yeah, their bins there is really good. Like you think Colorado has mountain brands? No, Arizona does.
Well, let me text playback.
Chad walking by. Flagstaff, we went there, and it was just great. Like the shoe bin, like right on top, right off the bat, there's just like Birkenstocks. All these, I don't know if I made a haul video. I don't remember if I was doing YouTube then when we went, because we went for some outdoor thing for Chad, and I really wanted to go to the bins while we were there. And if we weren't on a road trip, because we were sleeping in the back of our vehicle, we had like a little mattress and stuff. But if we didn't need that space, I would have loaded up easy. Wow. It was crazy.
So you could have loaded up. They had Birkenstocks. And
wow. And like the clothing, like I could have easily loaded up the back of our Highlander full. Wow. But we had to sleep. We were living in the back of our car for that trip, so we couldn't. So add it to your list. That's what I tell everybody wants to come to Colorado and thrift. I'm like, no, Arizona's where it's at. Flagstaff people are like rich or something. I don't know. I don't know if they're just rich there or what.
Well, they do. And I don't know a lot about Arizona, but it seems like that's what I've heard, that there is a lot of money around there. Yeah, that would count.
I mean, our bins are good too, but man, if I had the choice, I'd go to there every time. Wow. I want people too. I want other resellers who like go on these road trips. Y'all need to come to my honey hole and just shop for a day. Like I leave so much behind just because I'm really cheap and I'm used to the bins. But like I see other bigger YouTubers doing hauls, and I don't know what your cost of goods is, but like I see people paying like $8 and up for like a button-up shirt, and for me that's crazy. Yeah, like their cost of goods, like our stuff is like $5 tops for clothing.
Yeah, I think for most like shirts, I don't do a lot of clothing anymore, but yeah, that sounds about right. Like $3.99, and then once again, if you go when it's on sale, it could be less. And like I think about shoes for everything. Like shoes, like at Goodwill, they're $6.99 or $7.99. Here's Scott's asking.
Like you need to drag Clay with you. We'll spend half a day at my honey hole, and he'll have enough stuff to list for like a month, maybe more.
Yeah, I told him, I'm like, all right, you can't just expect Val to like box up stuff.
I know, I'm like slowly piecing together a box, but he can't or he won't tell me the brands specifically that he's looking for, so I don't know what to set aside. And I asked him before, I said, well, I saw a lot of athletic brands, but he told me it's because you guys got that unit and it had a bunch of athletic stuff.
Yeah.
So I don't necessarily know that that's what he likes to list or wants to list. It's just what he had.
Well, here's the thing. Like, yeah, that unit was amazing. It was athletic wear. It was mostly Nike and Adidas. Like there was pants, joggers, three-quarter zips, quarter zips, like, and all those shoes. That's the best unit. And I haven't done a lot of units, but that unit was amazing. But with Clay, that's the thing, Clay, and that's why I keep trying to get him to do this, is to like they call it a garage sale store, and that's okay to have a garage sale store where it's a little bit of everything, but like you're never like you've got a theme, right? You're rocking your mountain items or whatever you call it, but right? What do you call it?
Well, I did. But to meet my goals, no, I've started.
But you're looking for certain things. I guess that's my point. Like you have certain items you're looking for.
Like if it's not the brands that I really want, then it's definitely a style that I'm looking for. It's not just whatever.
And I think that's what's hurting Clay is he doesn't have any of that. Like his mom, um, and his mom wants to help him right now. Like his family has money, but they're kind of like worried about him, and Clay doesn't want to take any help from them, which I get it. And so his mom went to some auctions and bought him all sorts of stuff. And I'm like, well, what did she get? And it's just kind of random stuff. And I'm like, well, and the same thing, his cousin Angie, who's like his sister, um, will give him stuff. And like, he'll take this stuff from them. And I don't think it's that great personally, a lot of it. But from them, he'll take it. And like, I had all this good stuff. I'm just between you and me. I had all this good stuff that I had already priced out through auctions. And I'm like, here, you can have this and just give me a cut, a small cut, you sell it. And like, he didn't really want to. And so I'm always asking, I'm like, well, what, I'm trying to focus my thoughts, but there are so many things, so many ways to resell, right? Like on our call with Scott and them, like you could do retail arbitrage, you could just do shoes, you could do storage units, you can do estate sales, you could do auctions, you can do the bins, you can do thrift stores, you can do garage sales, you can do wholesale, you can do pallets, and you could do books. And there are so many ways, and I've done most of them, and they are all profitable, right? And I think Clay, like he just kind of followed me for a long time, like, which is good. I think at the beginning, everyone needs to do a little bit of everything. Like unless you just want a specific thing that you want to focus on, but I think it's good to learn a little bit about everything, right? But then I think you need to start narrowing down, because if you do a little bit of everything forever, you're never going to become an expert in one area or a couple of areas. And Chris will preach this too. He'll say, become an expert in 1 to no more than 4 niches. And and Clay doesn't have that. He just kind of does whatever. And I'm just, if I can double my money, if I can make $10, and that's a very, very much a beginner mindset, which is okay when you're starting and you're building your capital. But if you're going to be doing it as a full-time reseller, you've got to, like, I have a threshold. Like when I put shoes back, if I can't make at least $20 profit, is kind of what I'm thinking. Now, do I always know some? But on average, that's what I'm looking for or more. And with him, he just doesn't do that. And like in the group, I don't know if you pay attention to the group with Scott and Kevin and all them, but like Scott will say something and Clay, oh yeah, I want to try that, but he never does it. Or like, I think he's just all over the place, and he needs to narrow that focus down. But with him, it's hard because like I'm much more of a, hey, this is what you need to do, and you just trust me and do this, and you'll be successful. But that approach doesn't work with him. Like he'll shut down. So I have to. I gotta be careful too, because Danica and them came after me. Like I was being too hard on him, but I'm like, come on, Clay, told you what to do. Come on.
Like I think in theory, it seems like a good idea to have like a little bit of knowledge about all the things, but when you're out there shopping and picking up stuff, it's way better to have like a greater knowledge on a few things, because then when you're shopping, boom, 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 you don't have to look stuff up. You put it in your cart and or you're at the bins, you pick up, like me, I like my mountain brands, but I also have lately been liking just going off of style. Like I'll be at the bins, pick up this shirt that nobody else wants. They don't know the brand. It's not Nike. They don't know it. But like I know it's a really cool style and it's going to sell for $45. And I think that's just what he needs to do, is find a style. Like it's hard to tell. Like for me, I like selling both men and women's clothing, probably because I wear both men and women clothing. So it might be a little harder for a guy. So you guys might not know what's trendy or cute for girls. Like Chad used to have problems. Like I tell him, just find something cute. Like I'm looking for fall bundles, pick up cute fall stuff. He has no idea what that means.
You have a wrench on the front of the t-shirt.
So I don't know what his niche is. Like, does he want to do women's, men's? I think just deciding that would help him. I do both, but like I kind of have, I mean, I'm not like Miss Genius reseller, but I kind of have a good eye for what guys are looking for and what girls are looking for. But I can't decide, or I don't know if he knows.
I don't think he knows. I think that's why he needs to be here, honestly. I mean, that's the whole point of these calls. I mean, I think we both want what's best for him. So, I mean, I feel like I'm talking about him behind his back, but at the same time, I'm just trying to figure out how to help him. Because I see him struggling. He hates the tutoring. And I've told him, I'm like, Clay, if you just put those same 40, 50 hours into reselling, if it was focused, you would make more, at least as much, probably more than what you're making doing the tutoring. Oh, here comes Scott. It's better late than never. But if he put those same hours into the reselling, he would make as much, if not more. Hey, Scott, what's up? I think you're muted.
Yes, I am.
Yeah, we were just talking. We were just trying to. This call was about the goals from last week. How did we do? Kind of mapping out a schedule, setting goals for this week, and then we were just kind of randomly talking. Like we were just trying to figure out like how to help Clay, because I like my thing is there's so many ways to make money reselling. If you try to do everything, you're never going to be an expert in anything. So you got to pick a couple of areas and focus. And we're just trying to figure out how to help him do that. That's
and what did you come up with so far? Anything?
I think to find your niche, you do have to sell a lot of different things to find what works for you and what you're good at sourcing and what you're actually capable of sourcing in your area. I mean, that's how I did. Like I used to sell, the random crappy stuff I used to pick up to sell, but then I figured it out. But I don't know how to help him figure out his niche. Because like I've asked him before, because he asked me to put together inventory boxes for him. Because like I get a lot at my bins and I never know what to put in his box because I ask him what kind of stuff he wants, but he's not sure what he wants to sell. So I don't know how you help someone find their niche.
Yeah, and I've tried to help him with a couple of things, but he says he's busy and all this stuff. So it's hard to help somebody that doesn't want to help themselves. So
yeah, and I think that's the kind of the cold hard truth. And like Clay's, we're really close. Once again, I don't feel like I'm talking bad about him. I'm just trying to help him, but.
Right.
Like he wants the results that we're having, but he won't follow the advice and he won't actually do it. Now, and I know like, and you can't do everything. Like, I'm looking at, you're killing it on Amazon and like right now I can't really focus on Amazon. Plus I have problems with the account. So I'm like, okay, I'm leaving Amazon alone and I'm focusing on other areas. But if you're going to say no, you got to say no to most things and be able to say yes to a couple things. And I think everybody has to figure that out. What are the things now, will those evolve over time? Yeah. We all change and evolve, but you got to figure out like in this season, these are the things I'm working on. And I think a good way, Val, to figure out your niche, he doesn't do this. It's to go through the solds. I still do that every day. And I research solds and shoes. Shoes are my thing. So I research those at least 15 minutes a day. And like what we were talking about earlier, I went to all these thrift stores and that saved the day for me because it was 50% off and they had all these good brands and I knew, and I didn't have to look up those shoes. I just looked at the price. Well, they're normally $14.99, but they're $7.50 because they're half off. And, these are a pair of Brooks in great condition and just grab them. And so I loaded up my cart because same thing with Val's talking about, we built up this knowledge where on a normal day, if it's slow and you need to look things up, that's fine. But if you put that work in on the front end and you really learn a niche, then you don't have to do that, especially when it's a competitive environment where there's a 30-minute line out the door and there's so much competition. So I think going back and looking at solds, whether it's mugs, pants, shoes, video games, electronics, and then kind of figure out what you like to sell.
Looking at him a couple of weeks ago when he was selling all that stuff, I was really excited for him because I thought he hit his groove there. So obviously he fell back into, doing other things. And he said he was listing yesterday, which is good.
Yeah, he
Uh,
cranked out a lot yesterday. He had like 40 drafts, and
yeah,
that's why. Can you see the chat from previous? Does that show up for you, Scott?
the chat from previous, yes.
Okay, and that's what I kind of did. So I kind of wrote out like my daily schedule, my weekly
Mhm.
schedule, and there's wiggle room in there, right? Like if I need to make an adjustment, I can. But that's kind of my blueprint. And like for Clay, a lot of for all of us, mindset's so important, right? You have to have the right mindset, but there's sometimes I don't feel like working, or I just grind through because I know that's what I've slotted out. This is my full-time job, and if I don't work, then the money's not going to come in. So I've just got to grind through it when I don't feel like it. Um, and that's what I try to get across to him is like, well, he's like, oh, I don't want to schedule, and I don't want this, and I don't want that.
Right.
And like he makes fun of Chris, like, does he time his fees a lot quicker? He probably does, Clay, but he's making like $200 an hour. I'm sure those fees are, a couple dollars worth of fee time
Yeah.
there. But I'm like, and you're dissing it, you're making fun of it, but at the same time, he's successful. You want to learn from people that are more successful from you, or
Yeah.
they don't have to be more successful from you. You want to learn from people, and be open-minded and
Mhm.
try these things. And he just pushes back so much. And even now, like why he's not on the call, and I know we all have things that come up.
Right.
It's just like it's constant excuses. I'm like, okay, well, we're here. It's we're here trying to help each other, and
Yeah. And I think a lot of it, I love selling on Amazon. I know, other people don't. So that helps me get through the day too. When you love what you're doing and you find that one thing or a couple things that are home runs, it makes your day. And so he needs to find that thing that he loves. So, and it may not be reselling. It may be, going through something else and doing something else. There's millions of ways to make money now. So,
well,
but I'm rooting for him for sure because I love him to death. He's a great guy. He's very kind-hearted.
yeah.
I want him to succeed. So anything I can do to help would be, I would feel accomplished. So
Yeah, I think we all are rooting for him, and he's made the comment to me that he's just not into reselling. I don't think he's into reselling like we are.
mhm.
But I was like, all right, well, what's your passion? You're in your 40s. We got to figure this out. It's never too late, but what is your passion going to be? And I think
Right.
because his dad has money, and
Right.
he came from money, so I don't know how that affected his drive to work. And he's got other issues, but I don't know. I try, and sometimes because I'm very like I'll help anyone, but at a certain point I'm
Mhm.
like, man, just shut up and do it. At least try. If you fail, it's okay. You're gonna learn something, right? But
Mhm.
you gotta try. So I don't know. But anyway, like for me, like I didn't hit, just to recap, like I didn't hit my goals last week. I only got 31 out of
Mhm.
50. So I have, and Val hit 53 out of 75. So we both came up short.
Mhm.
Which
Yeah.
made me, and that's the thing, like I failed. So instead of beating myself up, I'm like, all right, why did I fail? And that's where I was like, okay, let me look at my schedule. What does that look like? And last week I did have like a dog emergency where we had to take
Mhm.
Elvis, our basset hound, to the vet for emergency surgery. And there were a couple things that came up that affected me.
Yeah.
Um, not making excuses, but so then I'm like, okay, so for me, and this is what my schedule is, like 5 to 8 a.m. pack orders that sold the previous day, 8 to 9:15 daily refinements Patreon call. That thing motivates me, and I get so much
Mhm.
knowledge when I do that. My day is so much better, and the dude's just too freaking smart. 9:15 to 9:30 post office run. And Val and I were talking like we kind of neglected our physical fitness because it's like, well, we could be listing, we could be sourcing, and it's kind of short-sighted. Like, all right, got to take care of my physical fitness. I can squeeze in 30, 45 minutes of run 3 or 4 times a week. So build that time into run. Come back 10:15 to 10:45. When I come back, do my research on my solds, my comps, so I keep that knowledge level. 10:45 to 11:30, I want to get back to 1 to 2 YouTube videos a week. So on the days I need to upload a video, I'll I'll have that time. On the days I don't, then that's more listing or prepping time. Take an hour for lunch, and then 12:30 to 5:30, that big chunk of prepping merchandise, shoes, washing shoes, listing, like that big chunk of listing and prepping. Fridays, I'm doing bookkeeping because I'm trying to keep my numbers more organized. And then I figure I'm going to need to go sourcing, thrifting, probably 1 to 2 times a week, probably about 3 or 4 hours when I do that. And on the days I do that, obviously I won't be able to list as much. And then the last thing is, like I don't think I'm gonna do garage sales for a while, because since I'm mostly looking for shoes, it's just not very effective for me. Like I can do better thrift storing. But I do, like I sold an IQ kit for like 170 bucks that I got at an auction for 20. I've sold a silver plated coffee urn from 1893, which I'm trying to get the guy to give me the right address. He's in Indonesia, and eBay doesn't like the label, so I've been working with him. This sold for like 230 bucks, and I paid 20 for it. So I want to keep those little bitty fun, rare things. So I'm going to give myself an hour or two on the weekend to do like high bid or auction spare, some online auctions, just like my little dessert, just so I don't get too bored. And that's kind of what my week is going to look like. And then we also talked about how Chris is always talking about, you got to, as a full-time reseller, like any serious reseller, you're worth at least $60 an hour. That's really $1 a minute. And so we were talking about inventory issues we had where she couldn't find something. I had the same issue. I couldn't find a pair of shoes. And you spend 15 minutes looking for inventory because your SKU isn't good, then you're wasting about $15 worth of, time is money, literally. So, keeping our inventory systems tight. And I was telling her I was watching Pure Hustle podcast where I'm behind, but like in July where they were going on a sourcing road trip. And I tell her, like, now that I'm full time, like I want to build up, get a little bit of cushion, have a month or two worth of income saved. And once I have that, like I'm going to take maybe once a month, go on a 4 or 5 day road trip, maybe to Colorado. She was talking about how great Arizona bins are, talking about Birkenstock and how amazing it was. Because you can write all that stuff off, because you can write off the miles, the lodging, the food. Basically, it pays for your trip, and you get out of town for a few days. So that's kind of what we were talking about. And then at the end, we're just trying to figure out how to help Clay. So what about you? What goal did you set last week?
I was I didn't hit it because of I didn't go much sourcing online or any Goodwills, and I was planning on going Goodwills at garage sales last week. So I only listed 5 things. So I think it was like 15, and I only listed 5. And I'm gonna have my girlfriend start taking photos for me. I think. Fiance.
Oh yeah, we saw the
So I put a ring on there. So fiance. So I think this is the greatest time. Q4 coming up right in a couple of days, selling stuff. So I did sort of like what Chris said. I've mastered Amazon with the 10K in sales a month.
Congratulations.
Yeah. So well, I've been over that, but well, right now I'm a little bit less than that, but I took a little step back because I don't know if I told you this, but Amazon's like a stock market. It goes up and down, up and down, up and down. And I've been looking at the prices, and I've been holding on to my inventory a little bit longer for the home runs. So selling like 12 of the drinks for like $30-$40 a piece. Which ones? Well, these ones I only sell for like 15, but these ones I sold. These ones I've been selling for $30, $33, $34, somewhere in there, a pack. And right now that's what I've been sourcing on, along with Halloween candy and all that stuff. But just waiting for Christmas candy to come in, and I'll start sending that in. But a week ago, this was $13. So $13.99 shipped to your house from Amazon. Now it's $34 because everybody's out. So that's the key to waiting.
So you play the game where you let everybody else sell out, and then you raise the
And
price.
I wasn't doing that before. I was chasing the money. I was only doubling my money, and now I'm 125, 130%. Where before I was like trying to double it or a little less, so I get the quick sales. But again, looking at the graphs, you could tell that it'll come back to that. So, especially in Q4, and then right now with Halloween candy, you'll know that will sell out. So I'm waiting on that. So yeah, there's all that stuff. But you can track it because it goes up and down, up and down, up and down. I know you invest in the stock market, so you know those dips and those valleys and all that stuff when it's come back up. So
Speaking of, yeah, so that's what I have to do tomorrow. Like, that's not in my schedule, but it's like personal stuff. Like, I've got my teacher retirement money, and I had a 403b, and most people just leave that and they want that teacher pension. But
yeah,
when you pass away, that teacher pension doesn't move on, and it's not that really that great. I'm like, no, I'm rolling that over to a Roth IRA. I'm rolling all of it, and then I'm going to control it. I'm going to have Amazon and some Google and some Apple. Like I have a mutual fund that my 403b was in through Fidelity. It's like a 31% return because it's tech heavy. It's the big heavy hitters. It's diversified, but it's really good. So I'm like, I'm going to recreate that, and I'm going to take that money that I have over there, and instead of getting the little piddly return they have, like over time, like I'm going to turn that money into millions here, in the next 10, 15, 20 years.
Yeah.
And then I was talking to a lot of people about that. I don't know, don't give up your teacher retirement. You can get I checked like $1,600 a month. I'm like, oh heck no! Why would I want to do that when I could turn that into 2, 3, 4 million here in the next 15 years? I mean, and Amazon's going to be a big chunk of that because I mean, if you think about talking about stocks, like Amazon is so dominant, and they're just going to get more dominant. And e-commerce in general, eBay and Poshmark, they're all going to have their piece of the pie. But there are certain stocks like Amazon, like it's a no-brainer.
Right.
And where you can, I haven't seen what the return is lately, but I know it's ridiculously high. Yeah. So why would I leave that money in a teacher pension where I can move that into a tax benefit and I can actually pick the stocks? And it's kind of like reselling in general. Like I've had this whole mindset. I wish I would have had this like at 18. Like I wouldn't even gone to college, I don't think. Just
right.
You control your future, right? Like that. Oh. Anyway, I got to call them and get all that set up tomorrow. It's probably going to take a little time.
Well, yeah, it's your money. You should control it. So the worst can happen, and you put it in the S&P 500, and you just let it ride. And that, at least you can have money left over for your family afterwards.
Yeah, exactly. And like the state of Texas, it's horrible. Like all that money I put in got a 5% return over. That's it.
Wow.
They cap it. I'm like, come on, guys. I could have been doing 15 to 25% pretty easily over the course of my teaching career.
Easily, right?
Easily, yeah. But better late than never, I guess. And people are like, no, you shouldn't do that. I'm like, and I explained to them why. They're, I didn't know that. A couple of them I've got them to think about it. And I think, and Val had a great quote on when I went full-time YouTube video. Maybe you can tell us what it was about the anchor. Do you remember what you said about an anchor? I thought it was amazing. Like,
I was being cheesy, but it's just like your job, your real jobs, as people call it, are like your anchor, and you're safe in one spot, but you're never going to meet your full potential. You're never going to get the bigger fish in the sea when you're anchored down, in my opinion.
I loved it. And I think that's how too many people are in our society. Like just 9 to 5, gotta be safe, right? But you're never really going anywhere. You're just kind of treading water.
Well, that's what you get to do in a job. You get to come back tomorrow, and hopefully you have a job when you come back tomorrow. I know with teaching this is a little bit more secure, but at the end of the year, they can move you too. So,
Yeah. But I will say now, second week of full time, like, man, I'm like in heaven. Like, I was driving around today during the middle of the day. I'm like, this is my job now. Like, a lot of people don't want to go to thrift stores, but hey, I'm going to a thrift store. I'm looking for treasure.
mhm.
Well, some people hate their jobs, but I love it. I'm just really happy.
So any plans for Q4, or what are you going to do for Q4 then?
For me, like my niches right now, it's fashion jewelry is my biggest niche, and I have been since I've been cross listing on Mercari, eBay, and that's why I was telling Val earlier. Like I was buying, I had literally over 1,000 SKUs, but my quantity of like each piece of jewelry would only be 3 or 4 pieces, and so I was
Oh, wow.
constantly having to reorder. And like talking about your time is money, it may take me 15 or 20 minutes to get that order in. So I'm just wasting money. So now what I've switched to is when I run out, I'll order at least 20 pieces and sometimes up to 100 pieces or more even. And then I will cross list those on all the platforms. And it's really helped speed up my sell through rate. And I'm not getting as much new inventory in, which is okay. Maybe once a week I'll order 1 piece versus I might have been ordering 5 to 10 pieces, but in smaller SKUs or quantity.
Now, when you order 1,000 pieces, what's your average cost?
I've never ordered 1,000. I think the largest quantity I've ordered is like 250.
Okay.
Because
So what's the average cost per piece?
it's going to drop. Obviously, the higher the quantity, the
Mhm.
lower the price, and then you got to factor in shipping. But like on
Right.
my jewelry, like it's mostly fashion jewelry. Like my average cost of goods is probably just say $2, like $1.50 to $2, and
Nice.
I'm selling them for 15 to 30 on average.
And so lightweight.
Yeah, it's so lightweight on
How
eBay.
are you shipping them to your customer?
Well, if it's on eBay, it's free shipping, first class, free returns, and I'm starting to book.
So how much? Like 2-3 ounces on?
Yeah, 278 on eBay, 276, 280, and then on
Wow.
Poshmark they pay for it. On Poshmark, like Val knows, I do bundles, right? You can get 3
Yeah.
pieces for $30. So maybe my cost of goods is 5. Poshmark takes out 6, so I'm making 19 bucks. It's low margin, but I get so many orders
Yeah.
and it's so easy to ship and easy to pull and pack. It's kind of like my foundation.
Yeah. And Val, what are you doing for Q4? Are you doing anything for Q4? Just doing the same old, same old?
I don't do any RA,
Mm-hmm.
but my sales seem to be pretty consistent all year round.
Right.
I wouldn't know how to make them better without doing RA, which I don't know that I have anywhere local I could do that. I'm in this very tiny little town where Walmarts are a big thing.
Yeah. So same old then.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Same old's working, right?
It's working for me.
That's right. That's good. Now, yeah, I have to start stocking up on shipping supplies and stuff like that. I ordered 300 poly mailers of one size, stuff like that. I've been trying to stock up for Q4.
Yeah.
Along, the free stuff that you get from USPS, but yeah, I'm doing a few different things. I haven't really kicked it in full gear yet, but I know it's coming, and I've been through it before, so.
Yeah, I did order a lot of boxes and and supplies because I know it's taking a little bit longer on those USPS boxes too.
Mm-hmm.
So we're like 200-300 at a time. So I'm
Right.
stocked up, so I'm ready. Got the tape. There's all the supplies, buying in bulk.
Does anybody have your mail carrier come to your house and pick up stuff, or you go to the post office?
I go to the post office. I've thought about that, having them come, but I don't know. Like I just write off the miles and it gets me out, and like I can go run. But do you, Val?
No, I go to the post office. It would be a really big pain in the butt. I'd either have to go open a really big barn gate every single time, or they would have to get out of their car, open it, and then drive up our long driveway. So I just go to the post office. It's not that far. Small town. We can get anywhere in our town in 7 minutes.
Yeah. There's one post office like substation that's about half a mile from me. It's really convenient, but they're closing that down. Another one a mile. I'm thinking about having my guy stop and pick up stuff, but I didn't know what the process was. So
Do they? Yeah, and that's what I'm wondering. Like, if they scan it in right there, like I just want to make sure it's scanned in. I don't want just to throw it in the truck and it doesn't.
exactly.
Maybe get scanned and maybe it doesn't.
I have no idea. That's what I was wondering if you guys had an idea.
Yeah, I've never done it. I've thought about it, but I'm like, I just want to make sure.
I always hear horror stories where they don't come pick up, and our guy, we're in a suburb, so I'm sure he's pretty good. But.
Well, my post office, it's pretty nice because they bring out these big bins, and here's a little tip. Like if you saw my Instagram post today, like I tie up my orders. I bought these clear 90-gallon recyclable trash bags that people use to put recyclables in, and I fill that up with my orders and I tie it off. And then when I go to the post office, they have these big bins for resellers that you've already got the postage, you drop it off. So I drop it off in there, and by using that recycle bag, number one, nobody's going to easily be able to steal something. And then number two, it just keeps all those orders together. Like before, I was taking plastic bins. I was wasting several minutes on days when I have lots of orders to move that from my bin to their bin. So I think, and that's kind of like the daily refinement. That's kind of like my philosophy is like little improvements. What are a little bitty change I can do that will make me a more efficient or a better reseller? And it kind of goes back to Atomic Habits, right? The book we're reading, that you just constantly keep making those little improvements, and over a course of time, it leads to big results. Which, speaking of, I guess, what do you think, Val? Atomic Habits or no? Or we can do it another day, or you want?
If you want to, definitely stream it. I mean, it's watch hours on your channel.
Are you busy, or you're free if I do it?
Yeah, you're just doing one chapter, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, I guess I'm gonna log off of here, guys, and then we'll do Atomic Habits. Anybody wants to drop in for the book review, book reading?
One question about before you go, your Patreon group, that's to do what now?
Well, it's like book club. I think I'm also going to start, like I recorded this video. I think well, we were talking a lot about clay. I don't know. But I think in general, like I'm going to record these videos and post them on the Patreon group. Like I've got one Patreon right now, but like you could pay a couple bucks a month and it'll give you access to that. And
okay, cool.
My channel's so small, but like I'd like a place to keep these videos for, and of course anybody in the group would, I'll give you free access to it, obviously, and eventually maybe try to build that up. Yeah.
Okay.
Real quick, your goals. Did you say what your goals for this week were?
Mine?
All of you, everyone.
Okay. I'm going to go back to the 15 eBay listings because I need to hit that before I go on to anything else. So I'm going to do the 15 eBay listings and report back next Monday. So that'll be mine.
What about you, Val? Yeah, I'm going to go back to 50. I need to hit the 50.
Mine is still going to be the 75. I know it's doable. I've been doing it. I just didn't hit it this week, and I think I figured out why. So I think my goal is just to be consistent with that 75, and then also to get my storage unit how it needs to be. I'm currently placing my order on eBay to get those bags. So one goal's already almost done.
And if you guys have your eBay coupon and haven't used it, you got to use it here pretty quick. So.
Yeah, I bought boxes.
Yeah.
Boxes.
I bought mine a while ago, but just know it's closing here in a couple days. So.
And those 14 by 18 poly bags are amazing. If you don't have those, like you can put
Those,
shoes.
I am out of those, and yeah, those are nice ones. I do like the little ones. Was it 5x7s or whatever those little ones are?
There's a 6x9. Those
Oh,
are
6x, yeah.
for face masks. They put in their
Yep, exactly. So I did order those, and I got those. So I stocked up on those, but I would love to ship a whole bunch of stuff first class on eBay. Seems like my stuff is bigger and bigger. You know, sold another router on eBay and stuff like that. So
Nice.
I don't get to use those little ones too much, but I like having them around. So
Yeah, they're good to have. It's good to have a variety of stuff. And it took me forever to pack up that coffee urn.
oh, I bet.
To find a box. I keep random sized boxes, and I have a lot of boxes, but that one was took me probably 10, 15 minutes to find a box that would work with.
Now, did you use pirate ship or did you use global shipping?
Global internet, yeah, the eBay International. Like it charged them like over $100 for shipping, and I think it was going to cost me. I don't know if it was FedEx or UPS, but it was like maybe 60 or $70. So I was making a good amount on shipping.
Yeah.
Plus the item.
Yep.
Just need to get the guy to put the correct address in there. I'm like, it's already late. It's already late today because it's supposed to ship today, but I messaged him twice and he messaged me once. Like, it's okay. I'll take one late shipment
Right.
for $150 profit, hopefully.
You are dealing with the time difference, so
Yeah.
I guess. All right.
All right. Well, next week we'll hit our goals. We're 0 for 3, but next week we'll hit it. A little accountability. So y'all have a good week, and I'll be going live in about 5 minutes on the book review. Anybody's bored and wants to learn about habits.
Okay, I'll see you.
Thank you so much.
All right, later, guys.
Bye.